Hey students, we meet today again for the next second lecture of our reproduction in lower and higher animals. Clear? So we had ended with the male reproductive system in man. Yes. So we had seen the structure of the male reproductive organs. So we had spoken about the scrotal sac, the epididymis, the vas deferens which falls over the ureter or crossovers the ureter and enters into the seminal vesicle, and then through the seminal vesicle it enters into the prostate gland through a duct called as the ejaculatory duct. Now that ejaculatory duct enters into the prostate gland and then connects with the urinary bladder through the tube, that is the urethra, which is a common passage for urination as well as for the process of coagulation. Hence, the other day I had said it is also called as the urinogenital system. Clear? Now, we also need to understand uh, the uh, we need to understand the semen. What does the semen contain, which is produced in the seminal vesicle? And we also need to understand the kind of muscular, the erectile tissue and the muscular tissue that is present in and around the penis. Okay, so what does basically the semen contain? So basically the semen is alkaline and a milky fluid of a pH of about 7.2 to 7.7, and it secretes or ejaculates at least 400 million sperms. Yes, and now the semen which has been secreted by the seminal vesicle basically has a nourishment. As you can see here, the semen which contains the sperm is expelled, ejaculated through the end of the penis when the man reaches the sexual climax of the orgasm. When the penis is erect, the flow of the urine is blocked from the urethra, allowing only semen to be ejaculated at orgasm. Now, what is that semen basically? So, the semen is basically a white, milky, alkaline fluid of pH 7.2 to 7.7, and about 400 million sperms have been ejaculated at a time, and along with that semen, the semen also contains the fructose, and semen once secreted from the seminal vesicle and comes to the prostate gland. The prostate gland also has certain secretions which protect the sperms from the alkalinity. It protects the sperms from the acidity of the vagina. And then at the lower end of the urethra also there are two glands called as the Cooper's gland, which is not mentioned in the diagram, but they are present. Okay, so they are present at the lower end. Clear? So you would find that in the exam they ask the composition of the semen. What are the different components that are present in the semen? Either it is asked in MCQ or it could be asked for 1 mark or 2 marks question. Clear? Then when you come to the penis, what does the erectile tissue basically contain? Basically the erectile tissue of two kinds, a pair of posterior lateral tissue called as corpora cavernosa and a median corpus spongiosum. These are the two different kind of erectile tissue that are present surrounding the penis, and the swollen tip of the penis is called as the glans penis, and it's been covered by a loose folded skin called as the foreskin or the prepuce. So the tip of the penis that you could see here, and the W shaped structure at the tip of the penis is basically the glans penis, which has a loose skin which could be retracted behind, covering the glans penis, and the skin that folds or retracts behind is called as the prepuce. Okay, so when you study the scrotum, as I said, is present outside the body, contains the testes. The testes are attached to the scrotum through gubernaculum, a tissue which attaches the testes to the scrotal sac, loosely attached, and is also connected through the spermatic cord. Now, you would find that the scrotal sac uh, are very sensitive to temperature, and they would retract themselves closer to the body, or hangs out loose according to the kind of temperature book. That means they are very sensitive to temperature. So during summer season, the scrotal sac tends to get loosened up, uh, takes takes the testes or the scrotal, moves away little away from the body, or it hangs down. And in case of the winter season, the scrotal sac shrinks and brings the testes much closer to the body. That means the scrotal and the testes, they're very sensitive to temperature, so they maintain a particular kind of optimum temperature for the survival of the sperms. Clear? So always they maintain about 2 to 3 degrees plus and minus according to the temperature conditions. Clear? Now in case sometimes the testes does not, before the delivery, the testes don't come and fall into the scrotal sac. Now if the testes don't come and fall on this in the scrotal sac, the condition that is called as cryptorchidum, yes, wherein it also causes sterility in case of males. Okay, so the so this finishes with the frontal view of the male reproductive system. Now we go to so we studied with the external genitalia. We studied the penis, the scrotum, the semen. Then we studied the internal genitalia, wherein we studied the testes, the epididymis. In epididymis, you had the three sections: the head portion, the middle portion, and the lower portion, which then continues up ahead as the vas deferens. The vas deferens then end up into the seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle joins up with the ejaculatory duct, ends up into the prostate gland, and the prostate gland comes down through the penis as the urethra, which is a common passage both for urine and reproduction. So the male reproductive system is also called as the urinogenital system. Okay. Now, what is the structure of the sperm? Now you need to understand the structure of the sperm. Now these sperms, where are they produced? They produced here. So we had seen here the spermatogonium, yes, the germinal epithelial cells, the Sertoli cells, yes, and then we had seen the Leydig cells. Now what are these Leydig cells in between? They are also called as the interstitial cells. Now these interstitial cells or the Leydig cells are basically responsible to secrete the testosterone. the male hormones, or giving rise to the secondary male secondary sexual characters I had spoken about earlier. Okay, so now we need to understand how the first we will understand the structure of the sperm, and then we will understand the spermatogenesis. Okay, now how does the sperm look like? Now here in the diagram here, you could see a head structure, a neck structure. Now between the head and the middle piece there is a neck, and then the middle piece continues down as a tail, and then under the tail is the end piece. Now here at the head, you could see in the central place there is a nucleus. Yes, and at the tip of the at the tip of the nucleus there is a structure called as the acrosome. Okay, now what is that acrosome basically, and what is the nucleus here? Now here you would see the sperm becomes motile. As I said earlier, it becomes motile when it enters into the seminal vesicle. Now here you could see the nucleus and the acrosome. Now what is that acrosome? Is basically formed from the Golgi body. Yes. Now the acrosome contains different kind of enzymes which helps in penetrating the ovum. Now the neck. Now here in the neck you will be able to see they have two centrioles. One is the proximal centriole and the distal centriole. Now the middle piece you could see there's a mitochondrion which is spiral shaped. Now this spiral shaped mitochondrion gives energy for the sperm to travel with the help of its tail into the female reproductive system. Okay, now the tail you find it is very long and slender, and it is tapering, containing cytoplasm, and it has a fine thread axial filament in the center. Now the axial filament arises from the distal centriole. Now this distal centriole से axial filament निकलता है and travels throughout the length of the tail, and it is covered by the plasma membrane, that is, it is called as the main piece. And at the end of the tail, that just the end tip of the tail, the end tip of the tail does not have the plasma membrane, and it is called as the end piece. So you find basically the sperm has a nucleus, it has an acrosome made up of Golgi bodies, made from the Golgi bodies. Then it has a neck, the middle piece, and the tail. The tail basically used for the purpose of the locomotion or movement of the sperm into the female reproductive organ during the process of copulation. Okay, now we need to understand the process of spermatogenesis. One second. Now we need to understand the process of spermatogenesis. Now here you would see what is spermatogenesis basically. It is the process for the formation of the spermatozoa. Now the seminiferous tubules produce haploid cells, that is N, and it involves several steps including mitosis and meiosis. Now you all have studied what is mitosis and meiosis in 11th standard, right? Now it takes about 64 days of this process of division in human beings. Now basically there are three different stages in spermatogenesis, that is spermatocytogenesis, spermiogenesis and spermiation. That means formation of the spermatid from the spermatogonia, formation from spermatid to spermatozoa, and spermiation, the release of spermatozoa into the epididymis. Okay. Now here you can see here, see the section shows you the longitudinal section of the testes, which we had seen earlier, where we had seen the coil structures of the seminiferous tubules. We saw the radiate testes and the epididymis, right? Then we had seen the black, the TS of the testes, which is shown here in the violet color. Here, okay, you will be able to see the central portion, that is the lumen, and the magnified portion there shows you the layer of cells, the germinal epithelium cells outside. Yes, you can see the spermatogonium, the primary spermatocyte, the secondary spermatocyte, and the spermatids. And then that is how basically the sperms have been formed. Now basically what happens in here? Can you see? So basically it shows you three stages, three phases. One, the multiplication phase. Now what happens in the multiplication phase? It begins with the primordial germ cell, wherein this primordial germ cell of the seminiferous tubules undergo repeated mitotic division to produce large number of spermatogonia, that is 2n. Yes, each spermatogonia is diploid and with 46 chromosomes. Yes, then the second phase comes is the growth phase, wherein some of the spermatogonia stop dividing and grow in size into a larger structure, into a primary spermatocyte, due to accumulation of the food. Okay. Now then the third stage comes in, wherein it is the maturation phase. Now what happens in the maturation phase? Now you try to understand, the primordial germ cell is 2n, it is 2n till, yes. Now the half the number of chromosomes from the sperm goes to the zygote or to the embryo, and half comes from the mother end. Clear? That means in mitotic division what happens? It is equal division, whereas in case of the meiotic division it is reduction division. So the number of chromosomes are reduced to half. Yes. So in maturation phase you could see it involves meiotic division or the reduction division. Now the spermatocyte undergoes first phase of meiotic division, leading to the formation of two haploid cells. See there, you can see meiotic division 1 forming into two haploid cells called as secondary spermatocyte, which is N. From beginning it is 2N, and then here in the meiotic division 1 it forms N, which are having 23 chromosomes each. Okay, so you can see here this one divides, that is the 2n divides, undergoes meiotic division and forms N and N, and it has the 23 chromosomes each. Now the secondary spermatocyte undergoes second phase of meiotic division. Yes, to produce 4. It produces, these are the 4 haploid spermatids. Now the spermatid is non-motile and non-functional. So here these spermatids are non-motile and non-functional. It gets transferred into spermatozoa by the process of spermiogenesis. What happens during this process? The spermatids remain held to each other and to the Sertoli cells. So what happens here, you can see they remain attached to each other to the, yes, they remain attached to each other and to the Sertoli cells by cytoplasmic bridges. They get attached, they remain attached to each other through the cytoplasmic bridges. Now the sperm heads remains attached to the Sertoli cells and the tails are hanging down. You can see there. Yes, you can see the tails are hanging down, are hanging in the lumen. Yes, of the seminiferous tubule. So during spermiogenesis, the length of the spermatid increases and the centrioles are rearranged as primary and the secondary centrioles. So we had seen earlier in the structure of sperm, in the neck region there is a front part, there is a frontal centriole and a distal centriole. Yes, the primary centriole and the distal centriole, yes, which has been attached here in this particular section after the spermiogenesis, or during the spermiogenesis rather. And the mitochondria, which is very spirally called, and the acrosome is formed from the Golgi complex. So basically the Golgi complex basically secretes different kinds of enzymes which helps in rupturing of the corona of the ovum. So what did we see here? What did we see? We saw the three stages, that is spermatocytogenesis. Cytogenesis, that is the cells, the primordial egg cell, that the primordial germ cell, what happens? It undergoes mitotic division, yes, to form, what does it form here? It forms the primary spermatocyte, which undergoes meiotic division, 1 to form secondary spermatocyte. Now this secondary spermatocyte has NN each and 23 chromosomes, and this N further undergoes meiotic division 2 to form the spermatids, and then forms the mature sperm. Now in the mature sperm, it forms the acrosome from the Golgi complex. It forms the coiled structure of the mitochondria. The centriole gets attached to the neck region, and that's how the entire sperm is been formed and then transported through the vas deferens to the seminal vesicle, where these sperms absorb the nutrition, that is fructose, from the seminal vesicle and they become active. Further, more nutrition comes to them through the prostate gland, and those prostate gland also secrete certain secretions which protect the sperms from the acidity of the female reproductive organ. And in addition, also the Cooper's gland also helps in the protective way, protecting the sperm. So I hope this part of the male reproductive system is very clear to all of you. I repeat again, here we saw in the testes the structure of the TS of testes, wherein we saw how the sperms have been made. They've been carried up to the vas deferens, to the seminal vesicle, ejaculated through the ejaculatory duct into the prostate gland, and in the prostate gland passes the urethra from the center of the urethra, or the penis rather, and is been ejaculated out during the process of copulation. The Cooper's gland also lubricates the female reproductive organ in the process of copulation, helps in the process of stimulation. Okay. So in the exam, they could ask the frontal view of the male reproductive system. They could ask the structure of sperm for 2 marks, 3 marks, with the diagram, description, function. Then TS of testes, it is also there in the practicals for you all. So you need to practice this diagram. In the exam, the function of the Leydig cells is also asked. As I said, it is used for the secretes hormones. Yes, the male hormones and the spermatogenesis. The spermatogenesis also asks for 4 marks. So the the 3 stages of the spermatogenesis. One, wherein the primordial germ cells undergoes mitotic division. Then you have, that is the initial multiplication phase. Then comes the growth phase, and then comes the maturation phase, wherein in the maturation phase the mature sperms have been formed. Okay. Now the entire working system of the male reproductive system is ready. So all this happens when when the male is has attained puberty, that is, it has become mature enough to form the male gametophyte. Okay. So the male gametes are ready. So the secondary sexual characters are also ready. The sperms are ready. So in this, the secondary sexual characters, you could see when you study ahead in the control and coordination, you would find the role of the pituitary gland in this, wherein the secondary sexual characters have been initiated by the hormones that are secreted from the pituitary gland. We will see that. And those pituitary glands secrete certain secretions, and they are have been secreted there in the Leydig cells. These Leydig cells are basically secreting the male hormones, the testosterone. Okay. So we could do the next system, that is the female reproductive system. Now, in the female reproductive system, as we saw in the males also, in the female also you have the internal and the external genitalia. Now in the internal genitalia, you would find there are ovaries, a pair of ovary. You have the fimbriae, the oviduct, the uterus, and the endometrium that is present inside the uterus. And in the external genitalia, you have the vagina and the mons pubis. Okay, that covers basically the pubic bone, and the two lips, that is the labia majora and the labia minora, and the glands that are present, that is Bartholin glands that are present beside the vaginal opening, and the clitoris that is located between the labia minora at the upper end. Okay. So like the males, the female also have the internal and the external genitalia. So here you could see I have shown the internal and the external genitalia in a bifurcation in the diagram. Now here you could see the pair of ovary on either side, the left side of the ovary and the right side of the ovary. You could see the infundibulum with the fimbriae that is close to the ovary, and the oviduct, which consists basically of the ampulla and the isthmus, which enter into the fundus of the uterus, and the inner lining of the uterus, that is the endometrium. Okay, now this endometrium then ends up into the cervix of the uterus, into the vagina, and then comes out of the body in the form of the mons pubis, the clitoris, the urethra, which is not a part of the reproductive system, as in case of males. In males, the urethra was a part of the male reproductive system. So here, the urethra is not a part of the female reproductive system. And then you have the vagina and the labia majora and the labia minora. Okay. Now we need to understand how does the ovary work. Now what does the ovary actually contain? Basically, as the testis manufactures the sperm, in the similar way the ovary also manufactures the egg. Yes. Now in case of the testes produce many primordial egg cells, we had seen. In the similar way, the ovary also produces many eggs, out of which one comes out. Now here you would see there is a left ovary and a right ovary. Now the left ovary and a right ovary produces alternatively the egg, which has been taken up by the fimbriae. Now we will see how exactly does this actually work. Okay. Now you need to understand. So what is the ovary? The ovary is where the oocytes mature prior to the release of the ovulation. That's the ovum, before the egg has been released. And it is responsible for the estrogen and the progesterone secretion. Now what are estrogen and the progesterone? These are the different hormones that have been secreted by the pituitary gland, and it is being secreted from the pituitary, stored in the ovary, and produces the egg. That we will see how it actually works. Okay. Then the fimbriae, which accepts the ovum, and it's been carried by the oviduct into the uterus after fertilization. That we will see later. Now here you need to understand the tears of the ovary. Okay. Now here in the tears of the ovary, you could see there is an the central part, that is the medulla, and the outer part, that is the cortex. Now the cortex you would find has, like we saw in the males, we have the primordial egg cell. In the similar way, here also you have the primordial follicles. So there are many such follicles. Now you would see here in the diagram, there is a primordial follicle, unilaminar primary follicle, multilaminar follicles. Yes, the different follicles are present, and then you have the secondary follicle, and then you have the mature graphene follicle, which has the oocyte inside, that is the ovum, and that oocyte has been released out. Okay. And what happens to the remaining cells of the graphene follicle? Once the egg has been released out, the part that is formed is called as the corpus luteum. Now the corpus luteum remains as it is. Now if the egg is fertilized, the corpus luteum helps in supporting the pregnancy. But in case if the egg that is being released, or the oocyte that is being released, is not fertilized, then you find this corpus luteum breaking down into a structure called as corpus albicans, and then leads to again to certain hormonal changes, which then leads to the menstrual cycle. Okay. Now as we had seen in case of spermatogenesis, here also you have the process of formation of the egg, that is called as the oogenesis. Now here, before we go to the oogenesis, you also need to understand the external genitalia. Now here, in case here, the external genitalia or a part of the reproductive system is the mammary gland. Yes. Now here you would see the mammary gland also found in male and females. Yes. Now here you would see what are these mammary glands for? Basically to produce milk. When? When does it produce milk? It produces milk during or after the pregnancy to feed the whom? To feed the baby, right? So mammary gland is what? It's a milk producing gland characteristic of all the female mammals, and it's present in rudimentary and generally non-functional form in the males. That means it is also found in the males, but it is rudimentary, मतलब ऐसे ही false तरीके से present है, it is not functional. Okay, and these mammary glands are regulated by whom? It's regulated by the endocrine system. That means endocrine system, that means again the pituitary gland, and it becomes functional only once the pregnancy sets in. Once the pregnancy sets in, this mammary gland starts developing and becomes more muscular and glandular so that it can secrete milk for the baby to be born. Okay, that means this mammary glands only becomes functional after parturition. Parturition matlab delivery ke baad, and it is also controlled by the different hormonal changes that takes place in the pituitary gland. Okay, so yes, so we would see later the menstrual cycle, how the menstrual cycle uh, controls the release of the egg uh, from the ovary. Okay, how is that menstrual cycle controlled by the different kinds of hormones secreted by the pituitary gland, and how the formation of the ovary lining is changes within the period of the 28 days. Okay, so we would end our lecture here for today. Yes, so in here you would practice the structure of the female reproductive system, the TS of the ovary. Yes, uh, till date they have in the earlier portions the mammary gland was not there. So but as the mammary gland shows us the different parts, so probably this year they might ask the labelings for the mammary gland. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so you need to practice the TS of ovary and the female reproductive system. Okay, so study well, practice the diagrams, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.